What's going on, everyone? So this past offseason, the Miami Heat made a push for Damian Lillard. They've been on the hunt, on the prowl for a star, a bucket getter, a real scorer that could kind of complement both Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. They were looking for a guy along those lines, and they thought they found it in Damian Lillard. And they thought he was essentially a lock to come to Miami. Damian was working double time to try to kind of force and push his way to the Miami Heat, but Miami played games. There was even reports that they dared the Portland Trail Blazers to find a better deal. And guess what? They did. And now he's on the Milwaukee Bucks. And it sucks because Miami's that team that does feel like they are that guy away. Right? This is a team that's been to the NBA Finals, twice in the last 5 years? It's just they every year they're that team that you just can't count out. You think they're not going to do anything this season. They're not very good. And then you look up and they're in the conference finals or they're in the NBA finals. And, even the matchup against Boston in the first round this year was what does that look like if Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt? What does that look like if Jimmy is healthy? Do the Boston Celtics fold like they usually do? It's a question that unfortunately we're not going to have answered. But Miami is definitely going to make a pursuit, and reports have came out that they are going to push heavy for Donovan Mitchell. Right now, Donovan Mitchell is yet to kind of decide what is he going to do. There have been reports that there is growing optimism that Donovan Mitchell is going to sign a new extension. Donovan Mitchell has kind of said, he likes it in Cleveland, he loves it here, type thing, but we've heard that so many times. Every time somebody's about to leave, what do you hear? Players are never going to be like, no, this team's trash, get me out of here. Right? So I don't necessarily buy that, but it is something that is always a possibility. But if Donovan Mitchell does become available, there's going to be an absolute just pile on for teams that are trying to acquire Donovan. Now, to me, at the end of the day, it really boils down to where does Donovan want to go? Now, there are talks that he wants to go to a big market, that it's kind of the Knicks or the Lakers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's all it will be, right? You always hear early reports that are like, oh, this guy only wants to go to these places, and then all of a sudden you find out oh, no, he actually has a list of several places, right? So to me, it's would Donovan Mitchell want to go to Miami? I think Miami makes a ton of sense for Donovan Mitchell because I think Donovan Mitchell will get to be Donovan Mitchell. He'll get to be that bucket getter. He'll get to be the guy that he's best at being because you have two guys in Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo that just complement anybody with the skill set of Donovan Mitchell so seamlessly, right? So if he's a destination, if Miami's a destination that Donovan Mitchell would be interested in going to, I think it makes sense for Donovan. I think it makes sense for Miami. And I do think that Miami could put together a very just promising trade package, especially compared to some of these other teams, right? They hit on Jaime Jaquez, right? That's a huge asset that they could use to unload. You have Jovic, you have Tyler Hero, right? So they have a couple just quality pieces that teams would be interested in, that a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers, if they were to trade Donovan Mitchell, they would still be a very young team that might be willing and excited to add in a Jaime Jaquez, a Jovic to, put alongside, Evan Mobley, right? Especially with the murmurs and talks of, potentially moving off of Jared Allen, and they're not super thrilled with Jared Allen, right? So maybe they trade Donovan Mitchell, and if they get a return of Tyler Hero, who can slot in alongside Darius Garland, you go get Jaime Jaquez, he could slide in at the 3. Evan Mobley at the 4. You go Jovic at the 5, and kind of just have this young team on the rise. I think that is something that could make sense for Cleveland and Miami. And then again, from Miami's side of things, the beauty of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo is they're two stars that are willing and love to do the dirty work. Right? Very few stars are willing to sacrifice and put their bodies on the line and don't really care about their stats so much. They just want to win, especially Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't care if he scores a single bucket, right? He's more than happy to just kind of lock down, play defense, hustle, rebound, take a charge, do the dirty work, right? Make plays. He as long as he's winning, He care less what he has to do. And that just goes such a long way when you're talking about trying to build a potential big three, right? Because it's like I am of the mindset, and I do believe that you can still make a big three work in the modern NBA. I just think the pieces have to fit. Right? You look somebody like a team like the Phoenix Suns, as soon as they traded for Bradley Beal, I mean, I have videos on the channel where I was like, oh, they just signed their death note. Like, that's it. They're not going to win anything. They're not going to go anywhere. Because, again, the pieces don't fit. It didn't make any sense. I'm talking about three guys that are essentially the same player, just at different levels. And, I mean, when you look at Devin Booker and a Bradley Beal, right? Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, I mean, they're essentially the same player. And they play the same position. And it's just, it didn't make any sense. But you look at, through history, the top big threes, right? You look at, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love. You look at, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, right? And even like some of these super teams throughout the history of the league with the Celtics and the Lakers and all that stuff over the years, right? Like it's the complementary pieces, right? Like when you have basically three guys that play the same role, it's kind of hard, right? Look at all the big threes. Like, Paul Pierce played the 3, Ray Allen played the 2, KG played the 4, right? Kevin Love played the 4 or 5, Chris Bosh played the 4 or 5, Kyrie played the 1 or 2, Dwayne Wade played the 2, LeBron could play the 3, 4, 2, 1, whatever he needed to be, right? Like, so you look at a team like Miami, it's like, okay, I think that they have some enticing pieces for a team like Cleveland if they were to move off of Donovan Mitchell. I think Donovan Mitchell makes a ton of sense for Miami. I think that they could put together a very comparable package. It just, at the end of the day, is just, again, would Donovan Mitchell want to go to Miami? Because Miami's not going to make that trade if Donovan Mitchell is kind of on the fence or like, let's kind of see how it goes, right? Because you don't want to trade and sell the farm and basically everything you have to go get a star, and then you do it and that star leaves, right? So if you're Miami, you're looking at it as like, you have to make sure that like, no, he's like, yeah, I would love to go to Miami. I'd love to stay in the East, right? Like, because Miami with Donovan Mitchell, if everyone's healthy, they're going to be tough, like tough, right? So that's kind of the benefit. It's like, man, like we'd be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, right? Like, dude, we've gone to 2 finals without you. Imagine what we could do with you. Right? Boston, like, no one's worried about Boston here. Like, relax. And I do think Donovan Mitchell would fit the Heat culture and just all the things that you hear about Miami. I think he would thrive next to Eric Spoelstra. He's coming off of an all like defensive level type season, right? So like if he could continue to perform on the defense side of things along that way, Miami's going to be very good defensively. And Eric Spoelstra is just a mastermind at kind of masking guys. Like, I think it would be a match made in heaven on both sides. But if Donovan Mitchell wants to be a Knick, which is something that he really did want to do, then he's going to be a Knick. Like, if the Knicks want Donovan Mitchell, the Knicks are going to get Donovan Mitchell. It's that simple. Because he wants to be a Knick. The Knicks wanted him. Like, that's his dream, is to go play with the Knicks. So if the Knicks say, hey, we want to play with you, then I think that it's basically a lock that he goes to the Knicks. But if the Knicks go, hey, we're not really interested in Donovan Mitchell anymore, right? Because we got Jalen Brunson, because you got to keep in mind, when they were trying to trade for Donovan Mitchell, that was before this Jalen Brunson, emergence, right? And I still didn't think it made sense back then, but for whatever reason, they were looking to do that, where I think now the Knicks, they'll wait and be patient, try to find that guy that actually makes sense and fits, right? If Minnesota ends up losing, there's a lot of talks that they might look to potentially move Karl Anthony Towns, right? So maybe the Knicks go, something like that. But to me, at the end of the day, like, if Miami can put a big 3 of Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler together, you do it. Like, if you have to and you can, you do that in a heartbeat, no questions asked. That's easy money, right? Because those 3, I think, would just they'd be so tough. Like, you would have to beat them. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be one of those things where it's just like, they're just going to get, no. Like, Miami doesn't get ran. I know that they just got ran through, but that was without Jimmy. Jimmy does a lot for that team. right? And he's in Boston's heads. Miami doesn't just get ran through, right? Like, you have to beat that. And imagine if they had Donovan Mitchell, a guy that could hit shots, close, take pressure off of Jimmy, take pressure off of Bam. And the thing is, like, he would just be such a, like, Miami would need him to be exactly what he is. He wouldn't have to change his game. There wouldn't be any adjustment, right? Like, there's times even on Cleveland where it's kind of awkward between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, right? Where the two of them are kind of clunky, and it's kind of like no, I don't think that there would be any, again, usually when you're putting a big three together, there's like this curve, like this learning curve. There's like this down period where you got to kind of try to figure it out. I don't think any of that happens. Like, I think he just comes in, Eris Spoelstra goes, yeah, everything that you have done your entire career, the things that you did in Utah, the things that you've done in Cleveland, yeah, just keep doing that. Because that's exactly what Miami needs. They need that bucket getter. They need that guy that can just go get you 25 to 30 a game like clockwork. And it's just another day in the office. And, and then allow Jimmy and Bam to just kind of do Jimmy and Bam things and control and play hard-nosed basketball and just grind and do the dirty work. Like, to me, it's a match made in heaven, in my opinion. And I mean, I felt the same way with Damian Lillard. As poor as Damian Lillard was this past season and disappointing as he was this season, which he was, I mean, he had his moments where he looked good. I actually think Damian Lillard would have been 10 times better with Miami. Because, again, I don't think there would have been any of that awkwardness. I don't think there'd be any of that, like, just weird, like, how do you make this work? I think Damian Lillard would have gotten to be exactly what Damian Lillard's always been. And I kind of feel that way about Donovan Mitchell. Where if he was to go to a team like the Lakers, right? Like, I think he would, because the Lakers need him to do exactly what he does. So I don't think it would be this huge curve, but I do think that there would still be a curve. Right, because he's got to be used to playing alongside LeBron and Anthony Davis. Like, I do think that it is something that would take some getting used to. Where on Miami, I don't think there's any of that. I think he just comes in. I think it's plug and play. I think it's just like, hey, just play your game. We'll adjust to you. Don't worry about adjusting to us. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How do you like the idea of Donovan Mitchell on the Miami Heat? Do you think no, Miami needs to go another direction? Do you think he's going to stay in Cleveland? Do you think he goes to Lakers? Do you think he goes to the Knicks? Do you think he goes to some other team? Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.